श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। शांति शांति शांति। So verse 81. Rakesh Taka. Verse number 71 to 80 was talking about Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka Vichara, which is the very nutshell of Vedantic knowledge, and also if a person matures himself to be able to discern the permanent from the impermanent, he has reached the pinnacle of human intellect. This is the finest that a human intellect can essentially do. The ultimate. Every upadhi, which means every embodiment, has its own limitations. Animal's body has its own limitations. Within animals, different bodies have different limitations, different advantages. Human being is also an animal essentially. And what is the advantage of this animal, human animal? The advantage is that it can do a conscious thinking, discernment. It can discern. But not everybody naturally discerns. The ability is there, the capacity is there, but not everybody essentially uses that capacity and that ability. Scriptures tell us what is the maximal development that you can make of your intellect. See, when there is a goal fixed for us, it is much easier to follow it. If I know what is the highest that I can achieve in a human body, whatever the limitations be of the human body, doesn't matter. But what is it that is the advantage of the human body, and within that advantage, what is the highest limit which I can achieve? Shastra says the highest limit, intellect being your subtlest part of your human being, the highest of that is when you are able to discern the permanent from the impermanent. And this topic was done fairly exhaustively, if I remember well. just to give a very brief outline, this permanent and impermanent has many grades. Starting from the immediate life, even for a child, there is something called permanent and impermanent. When he has to look forward into his life, in his future, he has to recognize that there are some relations that are more permanent in his life. Even a child recognizes that. And there are some which are not so permanent. There are some things that are not so easily going to be given up, and there are some things which are very easily going to go away. Initially, he has a difficulty in accepting this. A real small toddler is not able to discern because intellect hasn't yet developed. It is just there in a rudimentary form. It hasn't developed. So when a toddler who believes his toy world to be the ultimate thing in his life, and he doesn't see beyond that toy world, he thinks that toy is the final goal of life. And when that toy breaks, he does feel some sort of he's sad, he cries because he feels very unhappy, because he's not able to come to terms with the fact that there was something called permanent which turned out to be impermanent. When he starts contact with a toy, he doesn't think it is impermanent. Now when we all go back into our childhood and we remember our favorite toys, we never believed those toys are going to be only very short-lived pleasures. At that stage of that life, they seemed to be the ultimate thing in life. You didn't know that there was something more ultimate coming in life. You just believed everything centered around that. And you just thought that this was going to last you forever. And so you carry that notion also in the adulthood, that there are things that are going to last as if forever. But the truth remains that when you lost the first toy in your life and you felt that sadness, you felt, what is the right word? You were crying and you were dejected, or you were disappointed, you were unhappy, you were upset. That's the right word. You were so upset that adults around you were finding it difficult to console you. You needed some consolation. You needed some sort of a reminder. You needed some sort of an assurance that there will be things coming in the future. Don't worry, if this is lost, there are more things that are going to, etc., etc. But in spite of the fact that you saw a thing break in front of you, the child does not conclude that all things are impermanent. No child concludes at that age. He carries the same thing in his adult life. Even now, whatever things that we hold in our world as precious, it could be people now, we think that they are going to be lasting forever. We are not able to come to terms with the fact that that permanent thing that we are associating, that we are actually thinking is there, going to last with us in our life, knowing fully well that we ourselves are not the permanent aspect, yet we expect things to outlast us at least as much as possible, so that we are not the ones who experience the break. That break itself, which causes a lot of turmoil within. Now, human intellect, maximum development it can take is to discern what is permanent and impermanent. Now, when you look at it and go from your childhood, when you look at your childhood, when a thing broke, did you conclude that all things break? When the very first friend lied to you or cheated upon you, or did you conclude that relationships have very short-lived happiness in it? Did you actually conclude that there is something called temporary? And what is that temporary? What is that which is anityam? Could you discern what is anityam as you were growing older and older? As your intellect was beginning to shape up with the facts and the datas of life that you were beginning to gather, did you also simultaneously come to an understanding that there is actually something called permanent And everything that you contact in the world is of the nature of it being impermanent. And this discernment, if someone has gathered the courage to do, I am using the words, you gather the courage to do. Why do you gather the courage to actually sit and discern? Because you need the courage for the simple reason that if you will discern, all your temporary happiness will vanish. What do you actually look upon in life? Is that happiness that you seem to be getting in life from temporary things, but you are not registering the temporariness. You get the happiness thinking that it is going to last. When you get some happiness, you do not think it is going to be temporary. When we were kids, since this is a Vairagya Shatakam class, remember any particular dish that you liked a lot? No? Would you say you still like it as much? I don't know if you people, would the taste still be the same as same? You know? There is a possibility at least. I don't know if one or two of you have the same feeling, but there's a possibility, a large, huge possibility that we don't have the same fascination for that particular dish any further that you could have had as a child. Now, expand this into every aspect of life. तब जो इतना रियल था, इतना परमानेंट लग रहा था, ऐसा लगता था this you will never grow out of. This is something that will last. This you can never grow. In fact, the grow out of word also I am lending. At that stage, you don't think these are things you have to grow out of. You just think that they have to be with you. They will last with you. If you love Rajma Chawal, then you love it for the rest of your life the same way. You don't think that you reach your 50s and you don't like Rajma Chawal as much as you liked before, and you get surprised at yourself that, oh my God, I can lose my taste for Rajma Chawal of all the things. It's like, how can that be possible? Because that was something that you always thought that you would never ever lose because you loved it so much. Now, if you were wise 10 years ago, 15 years ago, supposing, many things had come and gone by there. But your Rajma Chawal, you had an association that you will enjoy it till the very end. You know? That even if your teeth were going away, this is something that you are not going to grow out of because, and especially maa ke haath ka, which means what? Maa can go, but maa ke haath ka Rajma Chawal will linger forever. How is this going to be possible? What is discernment? I'm bringing it from the grossest, simplest level of life for the simple reason. There's only one thing that I think I want to highlight here. Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka Vichar is the culmination of human intellect, and it is practicable at every smallest thing in life. You can recognize the impermanence in everything, but you need the courage for it. Why? Because if you get the courage, you tend to lose the tastes in life. You tend to feel that you will lose the joy of life. You think that you will now, what will you enjoy in life? Because if it is impermanent, then suddenly you develop some sort of a dispassion towards it. Imagine if you know that it is not going to last. How will you relate to the same thing any further? If you already start contact with something thinking it is temporary, you do not develop a aham and a mama with it. Are you going to ask a question? Should I finish the sentence? You're not going to develop a aham and a mama with it. Why? Because if you recognize that it is going to be temporary, it's like supposing when we go for a holiday. When you go for a holiday, you know for sure from the beginning that the holiday is temporary. It is absolutely evidently clear that it is temporary. What is your contact in that holiday? With the objects, with the people, what do you try and do in that? Do you actually sit and start crying the very first day that it is going to end in 7 days, 5 days? When you go to Varanasi and you say, oh, 3 days. 3 days we were? 3 days. 3 days mein you will be back karke. From the first day we stop living. From the minute you land up, you're already saying, hey, no point, let's go back because abhi to khatam ho gaya na. We have to anyway go after 3 days. Is that the way you live the 3 days? How do you live those 3 days? From the very moment you are even getting out of your house, you have not even yet landed in Varanasi. Even when you're getting out of the house and much before that also, because you know it is only for 3 days, what are you going to do over there? You are going to make maximum. You will enjoy it the maximum. You will use it maximally. You will take out the whole potential that it had in it. You will just make all the 3 days will be so full of everything in it, because in the background of you, what is running? It is temporary. Your return ticket is already there. Is it not the same with life? You don't know your expiry date, as we have said before, but it is already, your return ticket has already been booked. Now you are already on a journey, and that journey is only temporary. It is not going to be lasting forever, yet you want it to last forever, no? When we were there for 3 days, how many of us said, I wish it was longer, hi, we wish it was longer, and many of us have made plans. We will return back. Why? Because 3 days was not enough. Returning back means what? Okay, I don't want to discourage. I'm not saying anything more than what I am saying. I'm just saying this much. Returning back means I want to relive the thing or do something else, whatever. But temporary means what? If you have the notion of anityam versus nityam, and you stop putting the nityatvam on the anityam. I don't know if the examples were clear enough to indicate this. If you are going to actually put the nityam on the anityam, like we just said, when you are enjoying something, you think it is going to last forever. That is putting nityam on it. That is already there. You already believe it is going to last. Rajma chawal taste I will never grow out of. I can't even perceive in the wildest dream 20 years ago that I am not going to be so fascinated by it any further. I can't imagine that. 20 years ago, what you could not even perceive will happen. Now that thing that it is going to last forever, that lasting forever notion is what? That lasts forever. The happiness that I get from Rajma Chawal is lasting forever. Happiness that I get from this relationship with my mother, my father, my brother, my sister, my husband, my wife, my children, my neighbor, my this, my dog, my this. This is going to last forever. This notion that this will last forever is actually already there with you, inherent, which you keep transferring it on something that you think is giving you some pleasure. You transfer it. You don't deliberately transfer it. It is default transferred, because what you're looking for is the nityam. But what is available to you is only anityam, because where you are looking, that realm is anityam. Here everything is anityam. When the whole avastha is anityam, then how can something in anityam be nityam? Jagrat avastha, waking state, nityam or anityam? Nityam? Nityam? Jagrat state is nityam. Nityam means eternal. It means permanent. Is Jagrat waking state permanent? No. It's impermanent. Now, does anybody need more common sense than this? What is the pinnacle of human intellect is as much as this? What is it? जो impermanent वैसे ही पूरी अवस्था है, इसके अंदर कुछ permanent कैसे मिलेगा? How is it possible? Which will itself fold away. That means within impermanent state, if my Jagrat avastha has to last a few hours in a particular time span, and a few years in a particular time span, supposing repetitively in a body. Now within those few, how much will any pleasure quantum come within that? Agar Jagrat avastha is one unit, it has capacity to give you pleasure within this one anityam beginning to another ending. This is one Jagrat avastha. Now within this Jagrat avastha, one unit of Jagrat avastha, can the pleasure be more than whatever this unit is? First and foremost तो इतना ही समझ जाएगा इंसान जब पूरी जागृत अवस्था को मिला के full on every moment, if I am alive, which I am not anyway, so a lot of my pleasure anyway goes off. Most of my days anyway I'm not alive. I am just existing, but I'm not alive. But even if the one day is taken, how much actual quantum of happiness can I get from there? And yet look at my hope. When I look at my hope from, especially by the time we have grown older, when I look at my hope that I want happiness, most of us are looking for happiness only in relationships. Because objects by then we have fairly acquired or in the process of acquiring, or we have understood. It's easy to understand that objects are impermanent. It doesn't need too much of a homework there. A lot of us are even failing at that, but chalo, let us pass ourselves from there. Objects we understand easily, but do people we understand easily? That people are impermanent in our life. And not only people are impermanent in our life, if we are looking at happiness from there, that means even the sorrow that we get from there is permanent or impermanent. चाहे वो happiness हो, चाहे वो unhappiness हो, कुछ भी जागृत अवस्था से मिलेगा, that is only impermanent in nature. Now, if you are able to keep this in the background of your mind, just as that holiday example was taken, if only this remains in the background, that this is impermanent and I need not put transfer. It happens, yes, but I need to stop this deliberately. Transference of permanence and impermanence is natural. I didn't know that I was looking for it. But now I can't say I don't know. Now I know that I am actually looking for permanent in an impermanent realm. Now at least I can stop the transference of the permanent and the impermanent. And how do I stop the transference? I stop the transference by only fully appreciating impermanent. What is impermanent? Is impermanent, period. I neither have to get too excited about my gains, nor do I have to get too dejected about my losses. It's fine. It's impermanent. It comes, it goes. It is there because of my ignorance that I look upon things that they will support me, that they will give me happiness. But I do appreciate the truth. I forget it. I get deluded by my own senses, and that is what now the 81st verse is going to point to us. That delusion that strikes us when we see the impermanent, illusory, fascinating aspect of objects. When we impose on the object some sort of a fascination on it. You impose that object to be a source of your happiness. When you start imposing upon that, the mind gets completely deluded. Your question you can ask now?
I wanted to ask you, what is the understanding that you need then, if you want to see that everything is not permanent, to not panic from that realization?
Say that again.
What understanding do you need to prevent panic from setting in, from thinking that everything is impermanent? You can answer it at the end of the class also if you want to continue.
No, I'm trying to get the question. What understanding do you need
to prevent panic from setting in, from the idea that everything is impermanent?
From panic to set in from the idea that everything is impermanent? Oh, you've stumped me. I don't have an answer for this, because I was talking from a different standpoint entirely. What happens when panic sets in? First of all, when does panic? We have all experienced panic. Let's debate a bit now. When does panic set in?
Understanding is not there.
When the understanding is not there in the first place, sorry?
And you're caught unaware.
When you're caught unaware, yes.
Buddhi is not working. Because Buddhi was not working.
When you're caught unaware is a very good one. When you're caught unaware, when you're involved, when does panic set in? What is panic?
Non-acceptance and something falls in your face when you didn't anticipate it, and then you're not even wanting to reconcile it. So you kind of feel it can't work. And you know it's not going to last, and you still want it to last. When you know it's not going to last, and you want it to last, and you don't know, you want to hold on to it, and you don't know how to hold on to it.
Is panic any different from helplessness? Same, no? So if we just replace the word, because panic gives me panic.
It's a little too dramatic.
It's like, oh my god. For me, the word panic means call the ambulance. And that's all. You see, it's a doctor's mind at the end of the day. Panic means 911. That's a panic button. That's all. It's an emergency situation. In ordinary life, if we are hitting a panic button, it just means we just are helpless. We experience helplessness in us. So if you shift the question to recognizing why are we feeling helpless? Why do we feel helpless? What is the base of feeling helpless?
You cannot do anything in the situation. You cannot steer the situation according to your own want or desire or how you want it.
Is it that you cannot?
You're not fully convinced. You still think you cannot. You think you cannot. Then
No,
it's
but
helpless.
okay.
You can.
If you
with the right kind of
associate,
understanding.
correct. If you associate helplessness with panic again, then is it that you cannot? Helplessness is something that you cannot, because otherwise there will be no panic. The panic means, if you've hit the helplessness as hit the panic button, means
You're gone.
you're gone. So why are you gone in helplessness? What is it that you lack? A hint is, what is it that you lack? Don't tell me intellect. Don't tell me understanding, because the fact is it is not there. So don't even talk about it. Let's talk of something else.
You lack strength. You lack strength.
Come closer. Strength is a little further off.
Information enough about how to deal with your situation.
Information enough
Enough
how
information.
to deal with your situation. Do you even read your situation? First of all, panic means, helplessness coming to panic means you are not reading your situation.
Have you examined it enough?
You've just not read the situation. You are not actually recognizing the situation. You are living somewhere in a
A
fairy tale fantasy world land, correct? Fairy tale fantasy land, and since if it is to deal with girls, then with the crown on your head,
It's called Kiara.
with braids. So you think that everything is going to be just perfectly ordered and placed, and you can walk on a red carpet all your life with silver shoe, and a prince will come and find it for you whenever it gets slipped off. And you actually, but you are not able to recognize that the real situations of life are what? So first and foremost, the understanding is actually to just reflect on what are the real situations of life. What is reality? What is reality, and for which you need to come out from the fantasy world? You know, that imaginary world where everything is just perfect. Because whenever our mind starts thinking that the world is perfect, this is where we go into a la la land. It's the correct word? La la land. We go into the la la land.
Daydreaming.
Huh?
Daydreaming.
Daydreaming. Yeah. Means you are allowing yourself to recognize the reality. First and foremost, what is the reality of life? Come, you tell me what are the realities of life that you have understood so far. Have you understood?
Oh, understood, okay.
No, means what do you understand as the reality of life? What do you relate to? You can do it around also, there's no hurry.
That the only thing that will bring you, in my situation at least where I'm placed at, the only thing that will bring you, like my level, I mean, like the only thing that can bring you on track is doing what is your duty.
No, I am not asking you for a solution. I am saying, what is your understanding of the reality of life? This is why it hits into a panic state. See, what happens when we are growing out of our teens, that is a shock to the subtle body when you enter the world. You know? It's like, just as you cry when you come out of the womb, you also cry when you come out of your teens. Because when you enter the adult world, suddenly the world wasn't what it looked like So you actually, the subtle body goes through turmoil most often. It doesn't matter. Now, what is important to understand at that stage is you have to start looking around, start observing people, start examining things, start finding out the facts of life which are countering your La La Land place. Why do you go on into a La La Land world? And what are the facts which bring you back into the world? What is pertaining to this sensory world? What pertains to this sensory world is, yes, of course you've heard enough that it is all temporary, but what is your digestion of the temporary word? What should you take from the word that it is temporary? I'll give you the. Okay, I'll give you the. If I am in your place, I would say the word temporary for me. Actually, we should switch off. Oh, okay. Patience. For what? Thank you. Lovely. Thank you. You have to tell me patience was an answer for what, because I've forgotten what you're answering. No, what was I answering?
You said if I was in your situation.
If I was in your situation, the word temporary to me would mean that my entire college life is temporary. Matter closed. 3-day holiday. 3-year college. Supposing 3, 4, whatever it is, right? Now it's just 3-day holiday in life. 3-year college. 30 years of life. That's it. This is temporary. Now in 3 years, what would I do? It is to end anyway. One day it is to end. I'll be given my graduation cap. And I will be given my gown. You would graduate off in 3 years, and then what? And then what?
Marriage?
And then what? Then what? Deal with their panic state. So if you don't know how to deal with your panic state, how will you deal with their panic state?
Cross out the babies.
Oh, I am literally crossing. Now, what is 3 years? It is a time to gain all the experiences of life which are going to equip you for your adult life. It is the time when you enjoy the most and also the time when you learn the most. Because that's your only independence last stage of your life, because you yourself said next is job and next is marriage. So job, you lose half the independence because you're tied down to the employer, and marriage, you lose entire independence. So there you are. You are only 3 years left, and out of which 1 semester is gone, 2 semesters gone, 3, whatever semesters have gone now,
4
hardly.
years, 1 is gone, 3 to go.
One is gone, 3 to go. Now 1 has already gone in a panic state, 3 to go. Now that's all your independent stage of life left. Just 3 years. So if I was in your place, I would just tell the button, you wait, hold on. Abhi 3 saal mujhe enjoy karne de. These are only last 3 years left. Now we will hit the button when babies come, because together we can do it. Why should we strike them? It's okay, we can do it together. They hit the panic, we hit the panic. So it's okay, we will be a panic house. Panic is usually a very, it's a state of complete lack of self-confidence, lack of self-esteem to quite an extent. It's a complete state of overwhelmingness, because I just don't know how to take charge, because I have not read the situation. So to deal with panic actually only boils down to always starting from, every day I'm going to read my situation in a realistic way. I know I've been badly equipped so far. Doesn't mean I have to continue to be equipped badly, because whenever I equip myself, I will not be panicking. It's as simple as that. And panic is something that if you don't deal with it early, then you... Sorry?
Becomes a part of you.
It becomes difficult to deal at a later stage, because it becomes so inherently available. It's an instinctively that all that you people will know, you know better than probably I can explain what panic is. It's a reaction which comes out before you even know what has happened. So what is extreme helplessness is, yes, what we were saying. It is an extreme state of I don't know what to do. And how can you just say I don't know what to do? It's my life. So this excuse doesn't work for anybody. We all have it in some shades and some grades. Every human being has it in them because none of us can know everything in totality. But the truth is that a big truth of life is you come alone, you go alone. Did I say this in class yesterday? I said it in class.
Why do you want to get involved in between?
I was thinking. You come alone, you go alone, and therefore, in between सब जोड़ के क्या करना है? Here, of course, you're too young to probably say so far, but fact is, what is there to read in your situation? So, impermanence, if it gives, now I'm coming to the question in its actual sense from the subject. If impermanence gives, the idea of impermanence strikes panic, that it's impermanent, then that means I am not ready at all to face the realities of life. I don't want to give up my La La Land world. And if you don't give up the La La Land world, then you have a lot of trouble ahead. Because the truth is, peaceful person can only be one who, in other words, let's put it this way. When do you learn swimming? You swim, right? When did you learn swimming? Not the age I'm asking. When? Condition in which you learned swimming.
Lessons.
Lessons made you learn swimming?
When I tried to
Means you were in the classroom writing notes how to swim and you learned swimming.
I went lessons in the water.
Lessons in the water. But you were in the water, right? It is when you learn swimming is when you are in the water. World is water. You can only learn to swim if you enter the water. If you don't and you stand there, never ever assume that you are at a safer place. Safety always in life means equipping yourself how to swim. You may never need to swim, but actual insurance of your own internal safety is to learn how to swim first, which means I must learn how to deal with situations, and situations are not gross situations alone. Situations actually mean people in the situations. You are saying, that is very easy. Okay, you understand that it is people in the situations. I don't think you understand it fully yet, so please think about it. People in the situations means there are going to be all kinds of different people which create the situations. So what you are saying is a panic situation at the moment is actually not even involving people yet. You are independent, you are completely in charge. Actually speaking, everything is as comfortable as anything else because it's all been planned and programmed, etc., etc. So actually the situation is not even yet arisen where you need to deal with something. And if at this point only helplessness sets in, then as you grow older, supposing you say I go for a job, it's a La La Land world at the moment. If you say I go for a job, it's not, I hope it doesn't work to discourage. That job means what actually? Is it actually just knowing kaun sa kaam kaise karna hai? That is a very small part. Yes, ask Vedika. It's a very small part. It is actually dealing with the people in the job, which is a bigger part. Now if every person who comes and deals separately, you automatically see that you are not equipped later on. So you cannot keep running back to the womb. It's not possible. So ideally speaking, I was brought up in a way to say, your situation, you deal, you get no help. You got the help from distant remote, they were always there, but they made you feel that there is no help for you. You go through the stage where you realize that you're all alone in the world. You have to deal with yourself. You have to deal with things. You have to deal with people, and you cannot cry about it. And you have to do all this very happily, willingly, because that's the way everybody has lived. Human world is like that. Helps? Answers a bit? Because it's such actually a different exhaustive topic in its own self. It's not so... if impermanence starts giving you... How many of us have felt what she's saying as true? Impermanence gives panic?
Or you can apply it in another thing also, that you give you rejections because you're expecting so much from it.
So the notion of impermanence gives you dejection, the notion of impermanence gives you helplessness or panic. Anybody else?
It gives a sense of relief also at times.
At times.
Because your madness, and if it is not true, you better face it, because it has to come sooner or later. You can optimize your life much better.
So let me put it this way. Impermanence everybody has to deal with. In fact, we were just saying this. Now I'm connecting it to the subject. Because we are naturally imposing permanence on things, the truth is, it is impermanent. And when we are not ready to accept that, then all these things start happening. Dejection happens, this happens. That means, why am I not able to accept that it is impermanent? Why am I not able to see it, recognize its impermanence? Why am I so scared to recognize its impermanence? Why? Because I hold my happiness on it. I'm not ready to let go that dependency of happiness on it. And if I'm not ready to let go my dependency of happiness on it, then I am not moving forward. I am continuing to exhibit my samsara. I'm going to continue to be a miserable person. Because I'm not ready to recognize the fact. And that hope lingers. You know, when I remember, thank you. I remember as one of our walks, there was a talk happening between a young teenage girl whose face must have suddenly erupted with a lot of pimples and acne. And the other girl was trying to console her desperately. You know, doesn't matter. She was feeling so miserable, as if her world had come to an end. Now, why is the world coming to an end? Because your face is erupted with acne?
Your confidence lies in your looks.
Your confidence lies in your looks.
Because you expected happiness from compliments from people, and you feel that nobody would be friends with you.
Is that the only thing? That you expected compliments? What is the more underlying thing? What is actually there in her?
It interferes with your idea of perfection.
There is fear that she is not going to be looked upon as a pretty person. That she is not going to get the right partner because she has acne. My heart is still palpitating because I heard her so desperate she was. She was so miserable. Now, any amount of consolation at that time of life point to say that, listen, if a person is going to marry you for your looks, is this a wise choice in life? So what should you be doing? Judgment of people. Correct. What should you be doing? Should you be depending on people? Those people who are only going to come to you because of your looks? Again, see, this is where the knowledge helped us at least. If you're wise enough in life and you understand impermanence, then you say, thank you, God. Because of acne, in spite of acne, whoever chooses me will be the right person. So filtering to Bhagwan ne khud hi kar di. Now, will you be terrible about the acne or will you be thankful for the acne? But can you actually do it, or is it only words? See, most of us are not able to relate knowledge and live it. Most of us, it's very comfortable for an intellectual exercise. अच्छा लगता है सुनने में, सब real भी लगता है, सब first class. It puts us into another la la land. But when that knowledge has to be brought to life, suddenly we are all retracing ourselves because we are not even ready to give up this notion that this is impermanent. It is so comfortable to listen to someone saying it is all impermanent. अच्छा लगता है क्योंकि जब दुख की बात आती है तब याद आ जाए कि ये इम्पर्मानेंट है तो शांति मिलती है, लेकिन जब सुख की बात आ गई और किसी ने कह दिया ये इम्पर्मानेंट है तो दुख हो गया एकदम से. Every situation of life or everything that happens in life, has its own way of looking at it. Your development as a human being means, have you learned the right way to look at a thing? And that right way to look at a thing means, are you looking at it from a permanent point of view or not? What is permanent, and you have to look at it from that aspect. And in the process, if anything gets lost, which your mind may say कि हाँ 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 देखो ये तो खो गया, that's perfectly fine. It is impermanent anyway, no? वो तो वक्त में खोना ही है. Now I don't know if I'm able to make that understandable to. जो चीज impermanent का मतलब क्या है? जो चीज जानी है, वो अगर मिल भी जाती, तो मुझे कितना आनंद लेना चाहिए उसमें से? Whatever there is automatically coming, it's okay, but you cannot depend on that happiness, no? Because it is going to go away. Now that is the point. Now I am able to understand what you are saying, and I don't think I can cross that barrier at all. Because it is going to go away, you are saying it gives you panic and disturbance. Because it is going to go away, it gives panic, it gives disturbance. And we are saying it is going to go away, therefore don't depend on it. And you are saying, but it is going to go away, that is giving the dependence. That is giving the disturbance. हाँ, शास्त्र कहता है समझो पहले से ही, एटलीस्ट आने वाली चीजों के लिए समझो. जो चली गई उसके लिए तो कर नहीं सकते, लेकिन जो आने वाली है उसके लिए तो कर सकते हैं. कि let us understand in the nature of life, my any dependence on external object or person for happiness, I can. It's not that I cannot, but I must recognize earlier the better. As soon as possible, if it becomes contrary to its giving me fulfillment, instantly I should start appreciating that this is impermanent. I need not depend on it. It's okay. How do you take a boat? When we go from one shore to the other, how do you sit on the boat? अपना घर बनाते हो? क्या करते हो उस बोट पे? क्या करते हो? Even if you're uncomfortable over there. When we went, a few of us were uncomfortable at certain positions. Do you complain about that discomfort? When do you not complain in life?
When you have the recognition that it's not permanent.
When it is directly related to the permanent factor of life and impermanent. When you are actually able to register that this is impermanent, there is no complaint that comes at all, because the end where you have to get down is already known to you. So you don't even sit and complain. There is no time to complain. There is no time to feel terrible about anything, because जो कल खत्म ही हो जाएगी, उतरना तो है ही आधे घंटे में, तो अब थोड़ी सी दिक्कत सहन हो सकती है. So for any impermanent aspect of life, yes, for any impermanent aspect of life, every impermanent aspect of life, if it gives you panic and fear, then I would say at this stage, you are not recognizing, you're not putting the effort to come to terms with reality. The wishful world is not a real world. It gives nobody happiness. That easier is at the right, and that's the right age anyway. Easier is that at the right age you begin to recognize the right things of life. How much happiness does any relationship hold? And in fact, I want to take a little step now further off. Do relationships hold happiness? In relationships, where is the happiness? Do they not hold happiness at all? Then why are we running after them? So, huh?
They do.
They hold some happiness. That's why we run after them.
They cater to us.
When they cater to us is the what we want, and that normally doesn't happen. So we get dejected. This is correct. Actual happiness, whatever there is in a relationship, also, how will you get?
Putting in
By giving.
They give me
The relationship has to be built for you to get happiness from there. Now, how many actually understand how to build relationships? किसको आती है रिलेशनशिप बनानी? हम सबके अंदर एक एक सोच है. We think the happiness should come on a platter to us in a relationship. मतलब जिस इंसान से हम relate करें, उस relation में happiness should come to us on a platter. It should just automatically be there. We should just get it by default. But that's not the nature of relationships. Relationships, you get happiness only if you build relationships. And building relationship means, first and foremost, to build a relationship, what do you need? The other person, you have to first understand the other person. Who is the other person? If you live in a la-la land, then you are looking at the other person only from your la-la land viewpoint, and he should cater to your happiness. But if you actually are focusing on building relationship, then you will look at in our language, gunas of the person. You will look at the person as the person is, and you will realize that not most of what you think should be happiness source for you is actually going to be having to let go that to give happiness to the other, because they also want the happiness. And in the process, how intelligently you maneuver that, you will derive some happiness from a relationship. If you are intelligently maneuvering the relationship, which 99.9% people don't do. Therefore, 99.9% after 5 years of marriage and 7 years of marriage are miserable people. And then there are a lot of jokes on it. At the moment, we are going to give any. At the end of it, you are just waiting to. And for all those 4, 5, 7 years of so-called harmonious, not even harmonious, so much juices in the system. Why? You see na आगे that relationship जिसने बनाई सिर्फ उन्हीं की बनी. तुम्हें आता है relationship बनाना? Except with your dog. That also why? One-sided, है ना? Can you give me any one relationship that you have built in life? You're not a young girl anymore. Your parents and your relatives might think that you're still a baby. I don't.
Built as in you mean ones that I'm not born with.
See, what do I mean by built also? We have to now start discussing. What is building a relationship? Which was not naturally there, but you maintained somehow, maneuvered the relationship to come to a point of harmony. It won't happen if you don't interact with people. What college does is, teaches you all this. There are 100 people you can meet of 100 different backgrounds. 100 is an arbitrary figure, obviously. 100 different cultures, 100 different thinking, and there you have 100 ways of building relationships. And unless you start practicing, how are you going to practice it in the future when suddenly your husband will turn out to be or very comfortable to say job, marriage, babies. Very easy, but in the process, what all is to happen? This is the ground where you actually equip yourself to deal with that stage of life. It's not going to happen if after so much of thinking what college to go, what courses to, उसके बाद ये हाल है, supposing. Oh, next is job. Next is marriage. Is it getting easier or is it getting more complex?
Complex.
And you will be getting more growing up also with all your desires fully forming also by then. Am I making some sense? I hope am I making sense to others also? Am I making sense, please? So, I don't know, because I mean this should have been a private class, but I think Vairagya Shatakam we should shift to a private group only. Because we need to maintain, either if we are on live, then we need to maintain the discipline of the class. Such questions we can't take up. I know, but then the responsibilities, it's easier to deal, I mean it's necessary to deal with this because there won't be enough time afterwards. But, and I as long as it helps, at least helps. Probably better than, because it's actually dealt with a real core topic. You know, and it's the truth. Most of the people get fear. Nobody has ever asked this question. But people are fearful at the thought that it is anityam. Therefore, it's a very, very wise question, and therefore it is actually so apt. It may come out from your situation, but it is actually a very correct question within the topic. Doesn't matter. Why does, I mean, from our standpoint, my answer is very clear. None of you is qualified for Vedanta. Let's close down the classes. जिसको फेयर होता है उसको प्लीज वेदांता की क्लास में बैठो मत, तुम जाओ यहाँ से और मुझे भी जाने दो ताकि हम वेदांता के स्टूडेंट के लिए वेट करें, so that we can talk Vedanta. Because if Anityam is going to give you fear, now where is the conversation to happen? I am only compromising the conversation now. There is no possibility of any learning, any education cannot happen. You know, and yet you are right. Jiva Drishti, Anityam alone gives fear. तो वेर इज अ सर्च फॉर नित्यम? तो हम वेस्ट क्यों कर रहे हैं टाइम अपना और आपका? यू नो, नित्यम मीन्स परमानेंट हैप्पीनेस. नित्यम डजंट मीन नो हैप्पीनेस. बट फॉर परमानेंट हैप्पीनेस टू गेट, my dependency on the temporary happiness, I have to stop depending on. While I keep getting it, it's not that we don't get it. We get enough temporary happiness in life. अपने आप आती रहती है, कुछ ना कुछ तो आई जाती है. But yet, you will only get the permanent happiness. You can start searching for the help. At least start getting committed to wanting the permanent happiness. Permanent happiness means permanent stability. It means independence. Independence from all these chota. Now, there's a beautiful example we were given in the academy. I'm sure, I don't know if you've heard it or not. When the situation, you should be like surfing. In the seas, in the oceans, you surf on the waves. You should be a surfer. When there is a high wave, what does a surfer do? High wave, he ducks. When he is on a high wave, you duck. And when the wave is low, you ride on it. This is also told in the example of Krishna when he takes that ranchod aspect. He runs away as if people are saying, his enemy is saying, देखा डर के भाग गया. There's an aspect when you recoil, there is an aspect when you return, but there's also an aspect that you are riding, but both are under your control. In the same manner, life and its situations, sometimes you have to ride over, sometimes you have to duck over, but then for that you have to learn to read the situations. You know? And more importantly, I think what is very, very essential to understand and appreciate is probably what gives for most of us a sense of helplessness and panic is at the thought that we'll be alone when we need something. The aspect of being alone is what probably precipitates the panic. Now, ideally speaking, my answer should be You need to reflect, means think again and come to terms with the fact that we are all alone. You know, and these situations you have to be put into. I remember very distinctly, as I said, I was in the 6th or the 7th standard and my mother sent me alone in a second class to Bombay. Second class as a normal sleeper class of train. I was just in 6th and nobody sends nobody, all alone. You know. She'd made sure that my neighbors, ट्रेन में जो भी neighbors होते हैं उनको बोल दिया गया वहाँ पे my uncle was to receive me, but those dealing with being alone, you know, looking out, being careful, she gave me all the do's and don'ts, don't talk, but, and everybody said to her, what are you doing? Nobody does this. And all she turned back is, she has to live her life alone. Better she learns to face it. You know? Right from the beginning, you have to learn to face your life alone. And what a lovely thing it was. That moment, not lovely at all. You know, you almost want to tell, you almost want to say, stepmother. You know? But you know that's a mother. She knows what is good for you in the future. You know? And if you're not going to, all children will want only the recoil of a mother. Parents, because why? That's the source of security. You don't have to strive, you don't have to struggle. Even after marriage, most of the girls want to go back to their mother's house. Why? Comfort zone of what? Most of, because वहाँ responsibility लेनी पड़ती है, यहाँ already कोई responsibility ले रहा है तो आसान है ना life. सबके लिए आसान है. But सोचो, जिंदगी में नियम क्या आसान, हर किसी के लिए आसान के लिए होता तो जिंदगी चलती कैसे? When you are adult, you are no longer to look for comfort back home. Now you are supposed to be contributory members to society. You have to equip yourself for it. How will you even fulfill those duties that you mentioned if you're not even equipped to deal with your own self? How will you do the duties in the first place? So it is very easy to say stick to your duty, stick to your duty. Are your duty is first to deal with yourself. That's your first duty. I have to be stable, you know, because I'm a responsible adult. I will take charge if something happens. Otherwise, people have to take charge and charge. I am also part of their charge. It's a very beautiful thing, I'm telling you. That was a big learning for me at that stage. 6th and 7th standard means you're still a young girl, just growing. And great. Go alone, summer vacation. Go spend time with your uncles and aunts. My uncle was very worried. Oh my God, oh my God. He came to pick me up, all well, at the station. And when I got down at the station, every sensation I can still recall, because inside and outside you were both aware of. Now, unless you recognize that these situations everybody has to deal with. You're not the only first member born on the planet who has to deal with it. Everybody has had to deal with it. Your turn to deal. That's it. We are all in a queue. After this, the next turn is going to be job. After that, the next turn is marriage. There'll be more complexities arising. This is just the first stage. Am I saying too much? Becoming, in fact, we should stop taking Vedanta class. I should stop taking Vedanta class. I should start taking only psychological growth related dealing classes. कभी कभी मुझे लगता है वो ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है शायद. बंदी कर दूँ मैं ये सब कराती क्यों?
ये question तो I asked, they didn't ask that.
They didn't even think of it. No, good. You asked very correct. You made me register that this was important to be taken up. We live in our own la la land. The fact is, the truth is this: people are scared of anityam. कुछ खो जाएगा, कुछ छूट जाएगा. हम लोग तो 2 कदम आगे चल लेते हैं. And I'm sure it's not that it's applicable all the times, but at least as much as you can apply it. Go 2 steps आगे, इनसे जो खोना है खोने दो ना. क्या जाएगा, सृष्टि में कुछ बदला तो है नहीं कभी भी, और जो हमको मिलना होता है वो तो मिलता ही है. Why cannot I rest in these thoughts? Why can't I take stability in these thoughts? What is going to get lost? What will happen? I told you. Another example. Are these examples helpful when I give you examples? Honestly, I don't want to reveal my life. Open book, now it's open book, open video, everything become open now. It's become public almost. You know, when I was in school and my classroom was in the first floor, fifth class was on the first floor. And the first time I had to climb the stairs, climbing is easy. Coming down, I used to do one step at a time. And that's the first time I noticed. Tab tak we were staying in ground floor also, so there was not much opportunity to go up and down. So when I noticed that there were children running up and children running down, so one day I said, okay, I will also try run down like they do, and I did, and I fell. See, आपका तो चेहरा यहीं पे ऐसा हो गया. Now this is what you have to start dealing with. There's nothing bad about it. When you fell, instantly, of course, every crowd comes, and the good side of it is you become very cared for, loved for. You become the center everywhere because everyone's there. The second time I said, "Nahi, not worth it. I don't think I should even try." The third day I said, "No, I will try." My caliper broke. Literally broke. I said, "This is impossible, man. Forget about it. एक करके ठीक है." Then I told to myself, I said, "See, एक करके ठीक तो है. There's nothing wrong in it. I just have to go up and come down. There's no problem with it." The problem that I felt was I was losing on time because I would be slower, they would be faster. So supposing it's a games period, they have already reached the sports place. They've already reached the field, and I am still following एक करके steps करके, not done. And trust me, after that thing that you had to gulp. See, these are the stages in which your mind plays tricks. You have to recognize the tricking of your mind. Everybody's minds are like that. But you have to deal with that trick that your mind comes up with at that stage. And that trick you have to recognize is just your mind tricking. It's not essentially really there. When I did the fifth time, I just saw them and I tried. And I realized I had innovated something which till today I do. And for the rest of my life, it has been the greatest lesson. That I could have given up the first time. And fact is that I had to fall. My caliber had to break. I had to tell myself it's not possible. I had to tell myself, no, I will still have to try. I had to do all that finally. And what did I get out of it? What did I get out of it? Why did I do all that? Did anybody get the example?
Freedom from the fear.
Freedom, not only from freedom from everything. The greatest thing I got is, I got so much confidence that here there can be any situation that can be worked out probably in life if you are able to hold these 2-3 moments of your own life. Every situation is a workable situation. Every situation can be actually worked out if you go through these 2-3 initial emotions and learn to hold them and not fall for the trap that they are the ultimate disaster in your life. And falling, caliper breaking, रास्ते में, बीच में. One time तो I remember बस में से नीचे उतरी. School bus used to drop us. I fell, both caliper completely here, there, everywhere. I can't even go home. My mother had not come to pick me up. The conductor had to literally carry me in his arms and drop me home. Now, what do you deal in life there? What have you dealt in life? Any example you have so far? These will be your examples if you learn now. You don't have to feel bad about it. This is the age we all started. You have to deal with it for you to be able, at my age you will also be able to say that then. No? In my college this used to happen and you can tell your kids about it. This is the way to do it. Because it's going to be universally there for every generation, for every time. Everybody has to learn to deal with their mind, the tricks that the mind plays. Why does the mind play tricks? Firstly, do you understand that the mind plays tricks? We should stop the class somewhere. Why does the mind play tricks?
Because it doesn't want to lose its.
It's comfortable.
It doesn't want to lose its hold on you.
Hmm?
Doesn't want to lose its hold on you.
Doesn't want to lose its hold on you. It's comfortable within its known realm. Do you recognize your mind's tricks? Yeah? Huh. Okay.
Because we want to learn Vedanta.
You have to recognize all our minds are actually just playing tricks most of the times. It's only when you cross that stage, that Bhagavad Gita verse, mind is your best enemy, it's your worst. It's a best friend, worst enemy. You know? Only when you cross the stage of it becoming the worst enemy does it become your best friend. And after that, there is no problem in life. When your mind actually follows you, waits for your command, doesn't operate on its own ends, most often, takes your permission before it operates on its own. It does all this very willingly, and all it needs is just 2-3 circumstances in life for you to get hold of. This is a stage of development. You have to grow. If you don't learn to deal with them, you are succumbing to it. And succumbing to it means now becoming more and more of an animal, because panic is a state of flight or fight. Flight response. So what do you have to learn? Fight response. Flight is natural. There are only 2 kinds of people. Fight have to learn to diminish themselves sometimes. And they are both fine, but normally flight is always under and fight is the aggressor. So you are always going to be oppressed because your mind is natural at running away. So if you understand it's just a flight response that you are showing, you might as well say, hold on, let's take fresh stock, let's take fresh turns, one day at a time, one moment at a time, 1 hour. And you don't have to plan too much. Don't plan too much beforehand. Then I will do this, then I will do this. Everything will fall like a heap of cardboard boxes. Because situations don't come by planning. You should have the availability of your own intellect at that stage to say, okay, whatever the situation, I should be dexterous enough to read the situation, bring my best response. I can make mistakes, that's okay. Fortunately, I have lovely supportive environment. Kya ho gaya? Bahut ho gaya. Lovely supportive environment around me, so it's okay. It's perfectly fine. And everyone makes mistakes. Mistakes is not a problem. Running away is the problem. Mistakes you're allowed to make. But you run away from situations, that's not allowed. And really don't plan too much, because all your planning will happen out of fear that you will do that. To avoid that, you're planning. So that's actually growing the fear. असली नोट्स तो लिखे ही नहीं आपने. असली नोट्स तो लिखे ही नहीं आपने.
But it's more important to listen.
I know, I'm joking.
The video on Facebook also. Go back and keep listening.
I know. Yeah. Okay. So it's so much for Anityam. The class is also Anityam. So no, but it's a wonderful question. Honestly, I'm going to rethink about this again. Maybe we'll take up once more the same topic, because it's very essential to understand. Yes, it is not going to be what we would like to say in Vedanta, but it is truthfully the correct thing for most of us sitting here in class, that there is a fear of losing things in our life. This fear of losing is actually not coming to terms with the unreal. You don't understand the unreal. When you don't reflect, you don't think, then you operate on your spine. It's a spinal reflexive action. It's just a response. It's just a reaction that you generate. And everything in Vedanta will boil down to thinking. तुम सोचोगे ही नहीं तो क्या करोगे क्या? और सोचोगे भी, it is not to be सोचना as पढ़ पढ़ के. That's not सोचना. Acquire the information and then start thinking. Information के लिए पढ़ना है, वो तो करना ही करना है. That's the first step. Nobody says you can think without it. But think तो. You come up with the answers also next time and tell us. What have you thought should be the ways? If the truth is, see now, I will step it up to a person who's probably got a little more adhikaratvam, supposing. If the question could have been, there is anityatvam, I'm not able to come to terms with anityatvam, what you say is absolutely probably correct because I can see that gives me fear. Okay? Now what is the method, ultimately, of recognizing that this anityatvam is what I can appreciate at every point of time? Instead of saying, how does one deal with? It's not how does one deal with panic. Panic to hona hi nahi chahiye. It is how do I come to terms with more and more of acceptance that this is anitya? How should I start doing that? Why am I not able to appreciate this? Because it gives me fear. Fear is non-essential. Fear is not essential. What is the real cause? Why am I not able to understand? And what is Nityam? You cannot understand Nityam at all. I think one of the first classes on this we said this. Till you are able to come to terms with what is Anitya. Relative freedom तो अनित्यत्वम को देख के ही मिलती है ना. किस रिश्ता, सबको है इच्छा रिश्तों से कुछ मिल जाए, मगर एक कदम आगे सोच के देखो किस रिश्ते में क्या मिलेगा तुमको. घर में सब कुछ मिल जाए, किस घर से क्या मिलता है किसी को. पैसे में सब कुछ मिल जाए, किस पैसे से सबको सब कुछ मिल गया. Correct. Fear of losing is basically overthinking, also not being in the present. Miss Vedika Dalmia. Talking from experience. But it is. And you really have to deal present situations, especially when you go to different cultures, I'm sure different cities, but then I think everybody goes through it. It doesn't really matter whether it is the same town, different countries. Nothing is really. People have shifted. People are telling us, oh, you shifted, kitna kaam, kitna kya. I suddenly realized people shift countries. उनको तो कोई नहीं कहता कितना काम. If their job has taken you to a different country, what happens? Everybody supports, and the hassles you go through. Nobody says, "Hey, रुक जाओ, कोई बात नहीं." नहीं, जाओ. You'll get more money there, more security there, more whatever, and you'll be living alone anyway there also. But it's okay to go. What all do you deal with? Ask your parents, did they not deal with loneliness, aloneness at that time? Suddenly, nobody, no language, no nothing. People going to America and UK तो still okay, बड़े Indians मिल जाते हैं. Soul में, everything is correct, wonderful, leads to analysis paralysis. That's the right word. Leads to analysis paralysis. That's correct. Yeah. True. But that's the whole point. Why does any situation lead you to an analysis paralysis? Excellent word. Why does it lead you to that? Why does it lead you to analysis paralysis?
Because you're focusing more on the effect, not on the cause. And thinking about the effect more will just suck you there because that emotion was anyway overbearing on you.
Also, many times in the beginning I used to say this. You do all these exercises when the situations haven't struck you. On an average, जो तुम पढ़ते हो, जब normally कुछ नहीं हो रहा होता है, you're supposed to reflect on them. So that when there is a situation that arises, that knowledge is available to you. Then you will not get into paralysis. Paralysis means weakness, muscle weakness. Analysis paralysis means analysis weakness, which means never strengthened it, never used it, hardly used it enough. When do you actually sit and think? When does anybody really sit and think? I don't think anybody really sits. I don't think that anybody thinks, sits and thinks आराम से. Time नहीं है किसी के पास. What is अनित्यम? Why am I fearing अनित्यम? शास्त्र कहता है अनित्य तो देखना है, एंड अनित्य देखने वाला तो ज्ञानी बनता है. हम तो अनित्य देख के डरपोक बन गए. See the difference? ऐसा what am I missing out that instead of becoming a knowledgeable person, I am becoming a fearful person? Why am I becoming a fearful person when I recognize Anityam? The worst stage happens is, I'll tell you another reason. There are many reasons. We won't go into any more after this one reason. Another reason is that you have overvalued things that were actually of no value. The mind has placed too much value on things that actually were non-substantial. So when real things happen, then your mind is not able to come to terms with the real value of those things, because you have already placed such exaggerated value to those things. And to place a real value means you have to come to terms with nahi hai yaar, it's okay. Like yesterday I said, I really loved that statement of mine. I'm reveling in that statement. It's okay to have a boring life. It was so liberating for me also. Unless and until you are ready to accept that your life can be boring, you will not stop the struggle to make it exciting, entertaining, exciting. You are wasting your time. Because what you will go on chasing is going to be all impermanent. It's okay if your life is dull and boring. It's wonderful. You're falling in the niyam of Ishvara. क्या खाना पीना सोना रहना बस, और करना क्या है यहाँ पे? Every day should be charged up. Every day should be exciting. Every day I must do this. Every day every day of my life should be. And then you go and drink, and then half your life is gone. Next, the day is gone. ऐसे करते करते तो half the life is gone. In the name of making your life exciting. Crazy stuff. I hope it's बंद हो गया दिमाग पूरा. It's very important to understand. Otherwise we deal with it for the rest of our life. You shouldn't repeat these experiences in your life ever. First time is okay, allowed. Second time, we can give some grace. But that is the end. There is no third time. Grace means it is less than the first time. That is called grace. Okay, it didn't vanish, but it has lessened, a lot lessened. That means diminished. That means you are working on it. But that's it. There's no third time. The last 2 years of your life, so you have to live with the thought that I must carry memories back. Isn't it? When I grow old, I cannot be remembering all my college life. You know what happened? You have nothing to tell your kids. Me, I have so much to tell you people. Hana? See, because I made full use of that time. So much I can go on. Why? Because that's the stage to grow. Experiment with yourself, not wrong, but experiment with yourself, with what you know, with what knowledge you have, not have. What can I grow further into? See if somebody comes, let me see if I can lend my ears to somebody else who's there. Let me see what I can help out to people. Let me make friends for life. Let me see if I really need friends for life. Am I really wanting friends for life? What do I? Well, it's a stage for self-discovery. Where is the time to feel panic? And these are not the only relationships in your life. Shit, it's just boring. Anyway, it is. Anyway, they're such boring relationships.
Okay, to keep our life so boring.
Or क्या? We are following the Shastra. You have to begin the contribution back to your parents' lives. So you have to stop taking first. And taking is not just, taking. Emotion is also taking, because very soon in 5 years, 7 years time, the roles are reversing. They will need your emotion. The rest of your life, your mother cannot be seeing you like a small baby. I too have stopped seeing you completely. For me though, you're a grown-up person and I can't excuse any of your childishness.
But you stopped seeing me completely like.
So I can't accept childishness because you're no longer a small baby, even if they continue to see you a small baby. You're not. Great. Thank you, Vedika. We shall conclude. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. God bless. So this is not fair, right? It's one-sided. I see you, you don't. You see me, I don't see you. This is not good. We should do something, no? Hari Om.